Anytime I'm not landing enough paying clients in my nutrition coaching business, it's usually because of this reason. Today, I'm going to present a really helpful thought exercise that allows me to pinpoint why people aren't signing up for my nutrition coaching. So, if you're a nutrition coach that wants more paying clients and you have people interested and they're not taking the next step and they're not converting, you're going to find this really, really helpful. Before we dive into things today, I'm going to be talking about a lot of strategies and approaches that I do teach in a fully free extended webinar called the Free Nutrition Report. If you want to join me in that completely interactive process, I'm going to be teaching it again this upcoming Tuesday. I'm going to drop the link here in the actual chat. Feel free to check it out because it's really, really helpful. There's the webinar link though, and join me. Okay, here's the deal with the one simple fix to get more people signing up for your nutrition coaching. The thing that typically happens in this scenario is number one, if people aren't signing up for nutrition coaching, they say it's the price, they say it's what's going in their what's something that's going on in their lives. It's typically has nothing to do with those things. It's that they don't see the full value in it yet. They're having a hard time comparing what you do as a coach and all the accountability, support, guidance, an individualized plan, your track record for success. They're having a hard time comparing that against everything else that they know. They're not really sure what makes coaching different from an ebook or a generic program or something they can get on Pinterest or, that like class that their friend goes to. They have no idea how it compares. So maybe they hear the price or they see the price and they're like, why would I do this? I could get something less expensive, or I'm not certain it's going to get me results. So one of the easiest things you can do is start to develop a process around showing the value of what you do. In the Dr. Marc method, we call this the Free Nutrition Report. We get them tracking, we show them, do an assessment on them, to showing them is what's holding them back from their goals. This is no longer just education. It's laying the path for what they need to do to get results. Very, very powerful stuff. So I teach that full thing in that webinar. Go check it out. That's the first thing to show value. But even if you've done that and people still aren't taking the step to move forward, it's usually because, and this is going to be the focus of our chat today, it's usually because they don't have a good enough reason to take this next step forward. Yes, maybe they're starting to understand that you can help them and you can get them a result and you're going to help them solve a specific problem, which is pretty strong. Like that's a good reason for people to do things. They would like to do things, but there still isn't that push to get them to take the next step. There are a bunch of strategies that you can put in place to get them to do what's best for them, which is to sign up with you. And I want to help you do that today. I think the biggest thing being, I always think about this. It's like, okay, are people interested? Like, why aren't they doing it? A lot of times it's because as an online coach, your coaching is perceived to be almost like this revolving door where they could get it in at any time. And if someone can get in at any time, why would they take the next step to move forward? Like, what's in it for them? If they just feel like in 3 days' time, in a week's time, in a month's time, I can address this later. If you've given them no reason to do it right now, they're not going to do it. So we can limit the availability of our coaching in terms of we only have X amount of spots, taking things on. If you're a new coach and you're like, I got unlimited time, I could take on 20 clients, I think. How do I do that? Well, you can only onboard so many and do a good job in a certain period of time. So you do technically have limited space, but you could present it that way. You also can only start clients within certain timeframes, be it like, the first week of every month. That's when you onboard new clients, get them started. You could make a push to close enrollment before a busy period of time. You could, given your education and the results you're getting, you could increase your prices and use that to leverage people to take that next step. But there needs to be a reason for people to do it and to take that next step. If you don't have that, they have no fear of missing out. They have no fear of not getting the help that they need, and they'll be stuck in maybe land. And that will that'll kill you as an online coach. That'll be the thing that ruins you, is people being stuck in maybe land. We want to do things to get them either to say no, which, believe it or not, isn't the worst thing. No isn't the worst thing that you can hear. No is pretty good. It doesn't mean that it's no forever. It's just no for right now. But then you can move on and put your energy into other people that want to say yes. But if they're just thinking, hey, I'll do this later, you're never gonna land paying clients. So we want to put things in place to overcome that. Another thing that we can do that's pretty strong is we want to think about like the time frames and timelines and what's going on socially and culturally. Like let's say you're a coach that helps people specifically with fat loss. Like what's going on in the next 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks that people would want that ties in with what's already going on in their lives. Maybe they have summer vacations coming up. They would love to look good in a bathing suit to improve their confidence and reignite things with their significant other, or enter a new relationship and that type of stuff. If we can position things like, give me 4 weeks and you'll be as confident as you can be in a bathing suit, people start to think about where they'll be in that time frame. So it's no longer just like, come work with me because I'm a good coach and people love Coach Marc, he's great. It's like, no, I'm signing up for this because there's a specific thing and I'm going to be able to achieve. I'm starting to be certain about that. And here's where I'll be at the end. So you want to think about timeframes, and these are going to change throughout the course of the year, right? For the first time ever, feel like you're entering the Christmas holidays with the confidence that you'll know exactly what to eat, or not restrict yourself, or make this New Year's resolution the best one ever through these things and that kind of stuff. We want to have these things in place with whatever's going on, and they can be different offers throughout the year, to show people where they'll be at the end. This isn't making a promise in the sense that you're guaranteeing someone anything, but if you don't tell them about where they could be at the end working with you, they'll never be able to visualize the result that they want. So we want to get a bit closer to, what do these people want for the most part? What can I talk about? What falls in line with what I help people achieve, and start to create an offer around that and put it out there. And that starts to be more stronger. Now, so we have limited availability. There's some some scarcity around what we're doing. People just can't get it at any time, right? If you think about a convenience store versus a luxury boutique, if there was a limited availability of this high-end item you wanted and the store was only open for 2 hours, you'd probably be lining up. Do you ever see people line up in front of a convenience store? Doesn't happen, because they can go in, get the thing that they need at any point, and chances are they don't make an effort to get there at a certain time because they can just get it whenever. So we want to put those in place. We also want to think about where this person's going to be and create offers around that. We can also sweeten the pot by adding something else in for a limited time. Maybe you're a nutrition coach that helps busy moms lose X amount of weight in a certain period of time. Maybe they want at-home workouts. Maybe you, for the next 3 people that sign up for your coaching, add something else in, like at-home workout templates or something like along those lines, so that it gives them more of an incentive to reach out and take the next step. Think about the infomercial world. That world, in terms of like directly selling to people, have been doing things like that forever. For the next 1 hour, if you take the next step, here's what you're going to get. And it doesn't stop there. You're going to get this, this, and this, that type of thing. People then think that, hey, if I don't do this now, I'm going to miss out on that stuff. And that's a very strong emotion. So we can add something in. We can also take something away, right? Like, it's one of those things where it doesn't always have to be, adding in a physical product or an add-in, or some sort of bonus. You can take these things away. I like things that aren't necessarily discounting your time, as opposed to, because that just like devalue your time is the one thing that you can't get back, right? But something else is a little bit more scalable, be it like a meal plan guide, your Costco shopping lists, all of these different values and add-ins that you could, add into things. And that's what's going to get people thinking, if I don't do this now, I'm not only going to miss out on the chance to get the result that I want, that I now feel better about, but I'm also going to miss out on all these extra bonuses and opportunities. And I don't want that. And that's where people start to take that next step. And it's it's ethical because it's what's right for them to begin with. So what we want to think about when we think about all these things and strategies and things that we can do, what we want to think about is if there aren't enough people signing up for my nutrition coaching, have I given them a strong enough reason to do it? That's when we start to we teach this in the Dr. Mark method all the time. We take off our coaching hat for a second and think about being a smarter marketer, right? You guys are in the online coaching business now. You do need to develop these sort of business skills and think about these things this way. And when you feel like you're missing out on opportunities and maybe there's something missing to get you signing up more clients, there's usually a small tweak in the way you're presenting things or giving people a reason to take that next step. So I hope you guys are finding this stuff useful. If you are, hit that like button, drop me a comment. If you're tuning in right now and you have a question or anything along those lines, let me hear it. I'd love to chat more. Maybe you got a specific situation or you're like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm thinking about doing that. What can I do? Fill me in and we'll craft come up with a strategy or a plan together. If you're watching the replay, I do check the comments. So add those to those. But the biggest thing being add your questions and concerns, thoughts, strategies to the comments, and I'll get back to you. But the biggest thing being, if there isn't, if there isn't that strong enough reason for people to take the next step, they won't. And you'll miss out on an opportunity. Not only will that impact the amount of money you can make, but it also will impact the amount of people that you can help. So it's important that you guys get this stuff in order. I teach how to show how valuable your coaching is in that free nutrition report. We teach this in the Dr. Mark method, but I'm going to be doing it in a webinar for you guys on Tuesday, completely free, but you do need to register. I opened up registration this morning. 15 of the 30 spots were gone immediately. So if that sounds like something you want to learn more about, make sure you click that button, drmarkmethod.com/DRMM webinars, and we'll get you locked up and ready to do that. Other than that, any questions? I appreciate you guys tuning in live. If you're watching the replay, you'll find that webinar registration in the first link in the description. If you guys have any questions about nutrition coaching, about the science of nutrition, about how to get your clients results, how to get started, I'm here, eager to answer questions. So let me know. And if not, we'll end her there for today. I love these office hours. It allows me to stay connected to you guys and see what you're up to. So appreciate you guys being here. I'm just going to double check that I'm actually able to see the comments, live chat. Okay, good. Yeah, we're all caught up. Other than that, we're going to leave her there for today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me know if there's anything else, and we'll be chatting soon. Bye. Oh, I see Chad. Perfect. Any advice on good ways to implement the nutrition assessment? Yes, the free nutrition report. Chad, you're currently going through, a certification, working on things. I think honestly, the ways to promote that stuff are usually so simple and like right in front of you that they're just completely overlooked. I would say, hey, a lot of you guys know that I'm passionate about nutrition and helping people. I'm going through its certification right now. I want to test out a new strategy that I know really helps a lot of people. Let me do a free nutrition assessment on you. Let me rephrase the last little part. We call it the free nutrition report. We call it a free nutrition assessment. I think how you want to position this with people is just saying, more or less, let me show you what's holding you back from reaching your goals. Let me give you some insight. Let me pinpoint what you might be missing in your nutrition to help reach your goals. You really want to make sure that you're collecting what people want. And that you can do through like different hand raising content and stuff. But in your situation, I would just be like very simple about it. It's like, I'm passionate about this stuff. I can help people. I have this process that within 15 minutes, I can show you what's holding you back from what, you are eating or not eating to help you reach your goals. Would you be interested in that? Do you want me to show you? And that's how I would get that people starting to reach out about it and doing this and getting there. Also, just think about what we just talked about today, right? Which is like, if anyone thinks they can get that, then they might not take the next step forward. Maybe say you have, 3 spaces available to do completely free nutrition reports on someone, you know, within 3 days, I'll give you a step-by-step plan to show you what's holding you back from reaching your goals, and some insight around how to eat moving forward to achieve any result. If you want to be one of the next 3 that I do this on, here's what you need to do. So you start to bake some of that, like, hey, now I need to do this, instead of it just being available to anyone. Does that make sense, Chad? That's how I would start working that stuff in. If you have a specific type of person you're trying to attract, athletes, a different demographic that wants certain things, like, you can start to build stuff around that, at least talk about it that way. When we talk about an offer, we're trying to think about, positioning this stuff. I'm glad you think it's great. I'm glad you found that helpful. Like, let's keep talking about this stuff because it helps people visualize stuff. But you just start, like, baking in that offer around, like, if you do this, here's how it'll pay off for you. Do you want it? We can add in a time frame in X amount of days, and this kind of stuff. It's really, really helpful. I just helped my nutrition client lose 8 pounds in the last 8 weeks with this one simple fix. Do you want it? With this one simple strategy, do you want it? After working with hundreds of nutrition clients, there are typically 2 things that are holding people back. Do you want to know what they are? Stuff like that. Get people raising their hands, get people doing this stuff, kind of going about it that way. If you were to lose 1 pound per week, how long would it take you to reach your goal? People are like, oh, it's 10 weeks. It's like, oh, great. You're looking to lose some weight. How's everything going for you? Start conversations. We want to do stuff that start conversations. I have people, Cobb Diesel Fitness says, I have 2 people who aren't completing the assessment tab. I reach out to them if they needed help, but haven't heard back. Have you had people flake out at this point? Totally have people flake out. In the marketing world, they call this stuff a funnel, because at the top, you can start with a lot of people, and then they realize that they might have to do something to do it. So some people are going to drop off. I don't want you to feel like every person that expressed interest in this stuff will always follow through and do it. There are things that we can do to get them to follow through. Like, hey, if I set aside some time to take a look at your nutrition, will you make sure to follow through on this opportunity? Get people to agree to it. They say yes, they're more likely to do it. And that's just a psychological principle, because people don't want to be quitters, right? So we can do that stuff. You also, number 1 or number 2, don't take it personally, because life probably just got in the way with these people and they haven't been able to prioritize it. But there's other things, and this is just like what we talked about this entire day. There are other things you can do to make it a priority. So what I probably would do is, if you're thinking, if you haven't got people confirmed that they started tracking, you can reach out to them and say, hey, I have 15 minutes tomorrow to help you get started tracking. If you haven't already, do you want to jump on the phone and we'll talk about what you need to do? You could do it that way. Or if they have started tracking and they have kind of given you the sense that they've started doing that, you could say that you have time. Typically what I do is, let's say today's Thursday, I do new assessments for potential clients on Tuesday. I'm going to wake up, get everything ready, and go over these assessments. If you'd still like to move forward with this opportunity, can you have everything ready for me by Tuesday? So now it's no longer like, do this free thing whenever you want. It's now like, you have to do it by this time so that I can do it, and kind of go from there. Remember, we need to give people reasons to do things, even if they're like stretching the truth a little bit around it, because that will give them it'll help make it a priority, right? I always like to use the wedding RSVP scenario. People will not tell you that they're coming to the most important day of your life that you've organized, in most cases are going to pay for. It's going to be super special. They won't tell you that they're coming unless you say, you need to do this by this time, right? So we want to bake that kind of stuff into this scenario. Does that make sense? Does that help? That's probably what I would do with that. And then from there, if people have raised their hand that they want your help, that they're interested in this stuff, you can be persistent. which means following up with them multiple times. I think there's this there's this thought in our industry around like, people thinking, hey, I don't want to be annoying. But these are people that expressed interest in your help. They've asked for help. To me, it's like unethical not to keep knocking on that door until most normal adults will just say, hey, this isn't right for me anymore. Take care. That's the worst thing that'll happen. But you got to stay on top of them until that point. So I'd also just be persistent. I'd be persistent, but I'd also create some sort of deadlines. I'd also not be afraid to take that away from them if they expressed interest. It's like, hey, it sounds like you're not going to move forward with this. That's totally cool. Maybe in the future you can. But for now, I'll close down your application. For now, I'm going to give someone else the opportunity to do one of these assessments and then go from there. You got to bake all that stuff into things. If you guys are finding these answers helpful, make sure to hit that like button. Anything you do in terms of like comments and engaging in this stuff allows me to help and share this type of stuff with more people. So I do appreciate it. Let me know if there's anything else. Is there any other questions right now? This is great. Very, very good questions, Chad. And Cobb Diesel Fitness, who I believe is Anthony. I'm thinking it's Anthony, but also forgive me if I'm wrong. Any other questions at this point? If you guys haven't already RSVP'd to the webinar and taking your spot in our webinar on Tuesday, make sure that you do that. I'm just going to check out registration right now because I know we were at like 15 of 30 before I jumped on. We're now at 17 of 30. Make sure you nab one of those spots. You can find the registration at the top of this description. I've also put it in the chat. If there's not anything else for right now, appreciate your time. Hopefully that helped out. Glad to see you there, Chad. I know you got a big week. Hopefully everything's good with you and your family, and we'll go from there. All right, guys. Let me know if there's anything else, and take care for now. Bye.